Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 17th, 2023 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my own day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I guide my life by. Now, before I get any further, as we know, this is Sunday, therefore open topic. Well, better than I was yesterday. Of course, the sad part is the flu seems to be gone the way of the dodo bird. My foot, on the other hand, has gone a little bit twisted. That said, we have football in here with the gold. Joe Stewart has come in with the silver. Eternity Eternally is in with bronze. And Christine, you have wandered in with honorable mention. Welcome, Ferrick. Glad you could join us. Now, what do we got here? I am feeling better, in all fairness, in football. The reality is the cold really caught me off guard, but I guess my 25-year run without one is over. Other than that, it's the cough itself is dry, but it's not used to be like yesterday. It was constant. Today, I'm in much better shape than that. Now, of course, wasn't bad. It wasn't bad enough I ended up with that. Now I've got something wrong with the right foot. So, I'm just falling apart. That's all. But that's okay. If the government has their way, I'll drop dead before they have to do anything more with me. Get this. Okay. As I told you, I'm building an empire. I am literally building the publishing company. I went to the government, right? And I said, okay, number one, I'm coming to you for computer guidance. I don't work well with computers. I need help with it. Sure, now we're going to do this. And I says, I've got a letter of support from the printing company I personally use that say, and she says she's got clients lined up waiting for me to open the doors. Well, this is great. I went through all the rigmarole. I went through all the hoops they were asking for. They come back to me with the following, and I'm paraphrasing, the following response. I regret to inform you that we cannot take you on at this time because we feel that your concept is not a viable option right now. And you don't have enough computers experience. Now, maybe I missed something, but I could have sworn I covered those two concepts right off the bat. Okay. And now I'm looking at it going, okay, and I don't know where my finances are right offhand. I do know this. I am starting to run short. And that's just the way my life goes. However, this said, I'm not shutting the idea down. Yeah, honestly, Ferret, it sounds 100 times better than it did a couple of days ago. Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, it's not so much I don't like them, Christine, but I do appreciate that. The reality is this. Doctors, for most people, work like a charm. Doctors cannot track the way my system works. And they've admitted to this. They don't understand how I can heal from what I do. That's what I was thinking, Philip. So what I've decided is I'm going to keep pushing forward, but I'm no longer waiting for them. Because I put everything on hold because I said don't do anything with the company until we get a chance to look at it. What do we got going on here? I just want to make sure I'm not missing something, which for me is normal, but what do we got? Christine, thank you so much for dropping in here. I really do appreciate you spending your time, what time you have with me, and very appreciated. No, the thing, Philip, is this. Doctors on the whole, number one, you got to understand they go through a lot of years of training from other doctors that are doing the same thing. Now, if you're being taught with a hiccup, you're going to have that same hiccup. Myself, I just found out, I just decided I wasn't going to buy into prognosis. Diagnosis, they seem to be reasonably good at. But the prognosis, when it comes to me, they're pretty much hooped. The one thing I have found with a lot of people who get educated, is to get educated to the point they go, I've got an education, I've got a piece of paper that says I've got these letters after my name. Okay. Now, I was talking to one chap who had, I kid you not, 4 business cards with different degrees on it. With 4 lines of different degrees on it. And he goes, I got to tell you something very important here. Okay, he says, no disrespect intended towards anybody, but he said, when you look at somebody that has letters after their name, all that fundamentally tells you is that they had a good memory when they took the course. Okay. And I was asked years ago by my first psychiatrist, or psychologist, why I didn't go and get my paperwork. I looked at him and I says, well, no disrespect intended, but I don't require a piece of paper on the wall for somebody to tell me I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. So I got that down to a fine art already. But with this in mind, I had to take the last couple of days off here, as you know, because, well, my system shut down. And I'll tell you, when you haven't been ill for 25 years, aside from a number of heart attacks, a stroke, a couple of tooth infections, and that's pretty much it. Okay, once in a while you get a migraine. Hey, Nylock, you're. Yes, there is a very simple method. Okay, now, of course, the question, the one question I got for you, and it's kind of a rhetorical one. Would you like to keep fighting it? Or would the person that you're asking about, would they like to keep fighting the addiction, or would they like to beat it? Okay, here's the trick. And it doesn't matter if we're talking an addiction, because in this method, I have passed on to thousands of people for drug addiction, alcohol addiction, gambling addiction, food addiction. All of it works. Okay, all of those work. Now, in all fairness, I've honestly never run into anybody that complained to me about them having a sex addiction. A sex addiction. So, I cannot say it works for them. Okay, but since you like to beat it, it's very simple. Okay, grab any kind of recording device you've got. Obviously, this is a cell phone. Okay, you grab any recording device, whether it's a cell phone, a tape recorder, doesn't matter. Okay, maybe all you've got is a voice recorder, whatever it is, in your own voice. And this is the boring part. You repeat into it. I no longer desire to name the addiction. Okay. If you're looking at alcohol, I no longer desire to drink alcohol. And you just repeat that time and again for a full half hour. Okay, that's why I say this is boring. If it's drugs, I no longer desire to take illegal drugs. Or if it's a specific drug in particular, I just recommend that you don't isolate the drug. The same as you don't isolate alcohol, because it's way too easy to spin around and go, I no longer desire to drink rye, so I'm going to swap over to rum. Okay, once you get that recorded, how you doing there, Carl? Glad you could join us. Now, once you've got it recorded, okay, absolutely you have to desire to quit, Big J. You know, once you've got it recorded, the two best times to reprogram your brain, right as you're starting to wake up or right as you're drifting off to sleep. Now, clearly doing it when you're just waking up doesn't work because you got to be awake enough to turn it on, to turn the recording on. So just as you're ready to go to sleep, you're done watching TV, you're done relaxing, you're done having whatever party you're having, you're ready to curl up and go to sleep. So turn the recording on, and it can be turned on low, okay, so as not to disturb your sleep. And you let it run as you're going to sleep. Average turnaround time is 21 days. Okay, you're doing this you're turning this recording on every night, and every night you listen to the same thing. Okay, average turnaround time 21 days without withdrawals. Okay, because what'll happen is it will tell your body, I'm not interested in drinking anymore. Okay, but if you miss a day, no harm done. Start over the count on day 1. Okay, it's not a failure. It's a failure if you decide you're not doing it because it's useless. Then you haven't given it on a shot. Okay. And by the way, Big J, congratulations on the discarding the beer. Absolutely fantastic for you. Okay. Now, once you've done that, your average turnaround is 21 days. You do that now. I will not guarantee it'll happen like that. Okay. The fastest I've seen it happen was with myself. Okay. I never got to the point of recording it. Okay, because I kicked it cold turkey, both alcohol and drugs the same day. And again, no withdrawals. Now, maybe I'm an oddity. I don't know. Nathan, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. The reality is, once you make that commitment to yourself, you can pull it off. Now, there is a simple way to look at it, okay? The only way to fail is if you don't get off your tail feathers and make the choice to make it happen. Okay, that's just the reality behind it. But I do encourage you to give this a shot. I've given the same method to literally thousands of clients over the years. Okay. Now, the fact that I've gotten all the reports back from these people is why I can safely say, hey, it works. Now, alcohol and drugs, I went through. Cigarettes, it works for them as well. But I've never actually smoked cigarettes. So I'm sorry, I cannot say from first-hand experience it works. But I will tell you the people I've talked to have all confirmed the same thing. So hopefully Nyarlathotep, that will help. Give it a shot. I really look forward to hearing about your success once you've managed to break it. Now, do understand, you may find that you quit drinking before the 21 days. Don't complain about that, whatever you do. Okay, it may take a little longer, it may take a little less time. That issue I cannot speak to, but I can tell you it works. Oh, fantastic, Joe. I'm glad to see you're writing the dreams down. Curiosity question. Do you feel that writing them down is giving you something to work with? Oh, that's terrible, Philip. You got to work on that acronym. Of course, we could always call it RUT, as in Friends against terrible teachings. But I get the idea, and I do agree with you. Way too many people have become caught up in the idea of literally. I almost think they're going out of their way to be rude. But the reality of it is, when you desire your world to change, okay, that's when things shift. Now, would you look at that? Told you my brain's working a little better. I've got the door behind me closed this time. I've got this panel over where it belongs, so it's closed off. Okay. And I went back today. Back in 2018, I had a rather annoying stroke. Okay. And that caused me to give up game mastering for the last 4 years. Well, I started game mastering again today. Okay. And that went off without a hitch in my eyes. Now, what are we looking at here? Yeah, and that's the neat thing, Joe. I'm glad it's helping. That's extremely important. The fact of the matter is, whatever you're working on, whatever you're aiming to clear up, it's imperative that you get it sorted around. And rest assured, my method of doing things is not the only one. It's not the only method available. Now, the other neat thing that happened here, okay, yes, I've got a whole pile of files on my desk, on my bed. Well, it is my desk. I'll get them cleared up before I go to bed tonight. Okay, but can you see? No, of course you can't see. Because, oh, look at that. If I push this down over here, you might see part of it. We're going to fall over. Nope. Can't see that either. Oh, look at that. We can see more of them. Anyway, up here on this one shelf, okay, I now have all of my loose leaf paper is up there. I've got about 2 feet deep of loose leaf paper to do my writing on. But again, take a look at where your world is. Okay, this is the time to really look in the mirror and go, what is happening? Am I content or with the way it's going or not? Okay, now, something I probably should have said earlier is, if you like this stream, do give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of it. That would be really appreciated. And Nathan, where did we go? There we are. Get this out of the way up where I can use it over here. And we go, Nathan, the Quantum Show. And this is the link to Nathan's show, or to Nathan's live stream. So I post that there, and we go, click. Do drop in, give it a listen. Okay, if you like what he has to say, do subscribe to his channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay, he's got some really neat ideas. Now, Philip, in answer to your question, yes, playing Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I went back to first and second edition. We still tabletop game. Okay, next week I'll have it set up a lot more efficiently. This week I dropped the idea in my current Game Master's lap. And I'll tell you, he was so content, so happy with the idea. He immediately told me to take it over. So I did. But it didn't give me enough time to get everything sorted out the way I'd like it. Now, what do we got here? So, am I going to continue with it? The answer is yes. And let's see. I need you. Okay. Now, I showed you this guy before. Okay. Well, I'm about to work on here, that is. So I wander over here, and do I have it? Yep, right about there. Nope, that's not a good one. Just looking for a pen that I can, or for a paintbrush that I can actually work with. That'll work. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Oh well. Guess that'll have to work that way. Now, I showed this guy to you the other day. Okay. This particular creature. Okay, well, I brought him into the game today, and the guys didn't have any idea what to do with him. Because, well, frankly, in my eyes, I look for something that could be a little different for them. So now it's just a question of getting him painted. And like I said, I've got a lot of different figures on the go. But I finally decided to start looking for the ones that actually represent either the characters that are in my game or ones that I'm writing. Either way, it works out rather nicely. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of painting him all gold, and then I'll do the highlights over top of him. Because the nice part is, with this particular critter, okay, we are talking about a gold dragon here, but we're talking about a modification on it. And as you can well imagine, if they start out gold, they're going to have gold throughout. And so that's what I'm working on with this one. Now, am I by any stretch of the imagination, by any functional stretch of the imagination, a good painter? No, not even remotely, not functionally remotely close. Shade, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yes, Nathan, thank you very much. I'm actually feeling a lot better than I was. Cannot see a thing with my glasses on, mind you. Which is neat, since I used to not be able to see anything without them. But this is just one of those neat little problems that the doctors run into when they try and figure out how my system works. It's like, no, you're going to take 6 to 8 months to even start healing. I'm like, that's not part of my equation. It just doesn't work for me. So we're going to do it differently. Now, as you can tell, this doesn't take a lot of concentration, because realistically, all I'm doing is just taking gold paint and doing an overrun. I'm just coating and painting the whole thing. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But one of the things that I find is if your brain is working primarily on the logic side, finding a way to access the creative side of it is so much more necessary than you may realize. Okay. Like one of the things I'm also working on right now is I'm working on getting all my files sorted around. Only this time I'm doing it so that it stays done, as it were. One thing we have to remember, if you're not content with the way your life is, it's very easy to identify when you're not happy. Okay. Gotta go back up here half a second and just see what I missed. The neat part about dream journaling is this. Not only does it provide you with a way of understanding what you're actually seeing, you're able to also go and talk to the people that you trust that may have an insight in dreams to get a little bit better input from them. Now, in my case, I started interpreting dreams, quite frankly, when I was about 5 years old. Now, at that time, I was only simply looking at them for myself. But by the time I was 10, my abilities had become very public knowledge, and that created all kinds of annoying little complications. No, I'm not going to start whining about it. It's funny. Dad used to tell me to keep what I do a secret because he figured people would fear it. And in all fairness, my father told me himself that he was personally afraid of the metaphysical world. And that was part of the reason for his cautioning, because he didn't know how to cope with it himself. So what I'm doing here, I'm just giving this guy a complete gold cover. If you take a look at him, we'll get him finished in short order here. What do we got here? Yeah, isn't that the way of it there? Big J's going, I dreamt of buying Q-tips because I need to buy some. This is why I said dreams quite often are your subconscious's way of reminding you of what's going on in the real world or of what you may be overlooking. I had a dream the other day of almost getting into a crash because I literally ran through a stop sign. Now, thankfully, it was a dream, but it did get the point across that I really required slowing down. And by the way, that was also just prior to my turning around and going, I'm taking a few days off. I have to slow it down. So I did. At this point, feeling a lot better about it. And now it's just a case of making things happen. Now I saw something there. Here we are. Hi Voices, how you doing? Glad you could join us. That, in all fairness, Philip, I will get to your question. Just half a second, I voices. Philip, that idea that dragons hoard gold is a little bit overstated. They don't actually hoard gold. They quite literally simply like really shiny stuff. Gold just happens to shine up nicely. You know, but the dragon's hoard, it's not always gold. It's just a mineral. People are so caught up in the concept of gold that they run into a snag figuring that's what the dragon was going after. The reality of it is dragons seem to be, well, frankly, pack rats. And yes, I'm going to get flack from a couple of my friends. Okay. But what it really boils down to is they like having a lot of stuff. Sound like anybody you know? Dragons themselves, on the other hand, are they are very, I almost want to call them stoic, but they do have their fun. Okay. They do have a fun side. And all you have to realize is that dragons, like humans, are people. They do have ideas of their own. They do have dreams of their own. It's not just a question of them simply wanting to hoard what humans call valuable stuff. Dragons collect all sorts of things. Some dragons have been known to literally collect just fine art. Okay, fine art or fine carvings, that sort of thing. I knew of one that the only thing they collected, and you'll love this, the only thing they collected was high fashion clothing. And literally, they targeted female clothing. Because in their eyes, they like the fashion world. And I'll tell you, just like all humans are not the same, neither are all dragons. And yes, I know that goes against a lot of what you've already been told. And I can't do much about that. Like I said, like I say quite regularly, I'm not interested in telling people things just to make them happy. I'm just letting people know what I actually have run into myself. Now, that being said, oh, by the way, guys, if you have a question that comes up, that even if it is not in the topic we're discussing right now, because let's face it, this is an open topic. If you've got a question that comes up, come right out and ask. When you put it in the chat room, be sure to put it in all caps or at least partially caps, or at the very least, turn around and put that little wavy icon in there so that I know what you're up to. Okay, so you can catch my attention. All caps in my world is not yelling. It is simply getting my attention. Philip. Like Philip is asking, how do dragons carve and paint? Oh, number one, dragons' front arms work very well, even in your four-legged varieties. Dragons' front arms work extremely well to hang on to paintbrushes. As for carving, quite literally, even in stone, they will quite often do it with just their fingers. But that's how they pull that off. Then you've got some dragons, and this is where it only just literally dawned on me. People have asked, are there any races that actually shapeshift? And that's the one race I kept overlooking. Okay? Dragons themselves do shapeshift. They can take on the form of a human. Okay, most of the time, it's the females that manage to do this. The males don't seem to shape change quite as much. And yes, in case you didn't get by that by the inference, that does mean that we have a reptilian in a race out there that is very capable of shapeshifting. You know, kind of an important little factor when you think about it. But the important thing that we have to remember is that there is no one race that is inherently good or inherently bad. Okay, this guy is coming along not badly, and I'll have to set him down pretty quick here because I'm running out of finger room. So what do we got? As you can see, we're making a hit. I'll show this to you in just half a second. This isn't actually the only dragon I'm working on, because this was something else I was told to pin together. So as you can see here, we've actually got pretty far along the way. Oh, look at that. That's not done yet. Put that up and all of a sudden I can see that we've got a bit of a problem here. So we take this, set it down there, because I ran out of ink here, or ran out of paint. But yeah, the reality there, Big J, yes, the warrior class do have tails. Okay, and the reason for that is because the warrior class requires the tail to balance them. Let's just take a peek because we got something cooking here. Joe's just saying one of those three dreams. A state cop was in my house, me and my parents, but the state cop did not arrest me. He was just there. Well, that's always entertaining. You got to remember, and this is very important for people to realize, all cops are not bad. As a matter of fact, the massive majority of them are actually really decent people. Yes, some get a little carried away, but then again, some get treated really garbage. You know, they get absolutely abused by people around them just because they're wearing a uniform. And you know, I look at it this way with the police. You know, number one, they step into the line of fire voluntarily when we're in trouble. Okay, kind of important for me. I'm a pacifist. So I would rather somebody that is trained in the use of weapons, in the use of conflict. I would rather they take care of things for me than have to do it myself. You know, but that's just my way of looking at things. I don't know, maybe I'm a little weird. As you can see, we are making rather rapid headway here. Yeah, I keep letting it go down way too low, and then you can't see what's going on. But to give you an idea, like the reason I got a kick out of these guys is I was missing a piece of information. Okay, so and this is why gaming has worked so well for me over the years. What I got told just today while I was working on putting the character together, the game together, I was looking at this guy. Now this is a perfect rendition of an adult Sargon. Okay, no, they are not all gold, but they are all very big, at least when they grow up. So what I'm doing here is just tying this guy off. But here's the part I wasn't informed of until just recently. And it really should have dawned on me. But, I admit I'm slow. Now we're going to put this guy aside so he can dry. And then I can do the base part of him. And then as soon as I get done the soles of his feet here, I'm going to introduce another little piece of information for you. And again, this really does boil down to the sarcon. Now, what do we got? I'm just using the camera here because it makes it easier for me to actually catch the difference in the light. Remember that thing I mentioned about my eyesight not working as well as I would like? Okay. So he can sit up there and just dry for the time being. And let's get back to this side. Now, that's the thing, Philip. If you're dreaming, when you're dreaming, now, Christine, you're back. Yeah, it's amazing. 10 years ago, well, no, we're 23, so 16 years ago, I couldn't even see the figure without my glasses. I gotta ask here, Philip. Okay, you've written, I had a dream that I was dating a state trooper. I was helping him with his investigation. I've got to ask. Okay, I realize what the name says here. And I guess technically I don't have to ask, but I'm going to anyway. Where it comes to you. Oh, okay. That explains that in a hurry. Thank you so much. I've seen people do it the other way. Where did he go? There he is. I appreciate the clarification there. Well, that's possible there, Christine. Now, here's the part that I didn't realize until just the other day. I was talking to a friend of mine. Okay, and I am literally referring to a sargon. Their young have wings. Okay, as you can see, this guy here. Okay. Now, this guy here, from a gaming standpoint, is a kobold. Okay, that's what the figure is. But the reality is, kobolds are little lizards. Okay. So what I got told just the other day is that when they are born, they actually have the little guys have wings. As they get older, they hit a certain point, and because of the size of them, the wings stop developing and eventually wither and fall off. Okay, but what that does is it sets the stage. Like the wings actually keep them out of reach of other people. Okay. Oh, sheep, that reminds me. I have to add that, and as soon as I get my fingers cleared here, hopefully I'm not going to be painting my hand and all of that. Because I'll tell you, it takes forever to get the ink on, to get the paint off my hands. But yeah, the young Sarkon actually have wings. Okay. And the reason for that is as little guys, they are very quick to be, you can take them out in a hurry. They're not really resilient. They're not really powerfully built. So if they don't have wings, they're at the mercy of everything on the ground. The wings give them that advantage of getting them out of range. And then as they get older, they get heavier and heavier, and the wings just don't support them, so they end up staying put on the ground. And eventually, the wings usually just wither and fall off. Okay, but in rare cases, they actually have to go and get them physically removed. They have to get the wings actually removed in order to be able to function. Because the wings become very cumbersome and they just don't have the strength to lift them. And there we have another figure. Like I said, it doesn't take a lot when you're working with one color. It doesn't take very long at all. So what have we got going on here? The neat part there, Philip, all past lives are not traumatic. As a matter of fact, the problem with most past lives that we're working with. Oh, perfect, Raymond. Glad you could join us. The reality is I still use it. I've still got some. I've got to go and get some more. But it has worked like a charm for me. Now I got to find out what's wrong with my foot. And again, going to a doctor for me personally doesn't work that well. However, I still highly, highly, highly warn against, that was really poor English, warn against using Google Doctor to figure out what's wrong. Okay, talk to somebody that's got an idea of what's going on. And this is why I say doctors and pharmacists likely have more training than you do. It's just a thought. And there we have another one. Okay, and we'll let him dry. I'll probably end up putting a second coat on, but had to get that done to start with. And the intriguing part is I didn't bring the other figures down with me. One of those drawbacks of not quite putting everything together. Christine, one of the things you can do, because past lives, there's a danger with doing it via hypnosis anyway. But think back to, and again, you may consider this making it up. Many people question whether they make up their past lives. Okay, but find a comfortable place to sit. Okay, and do this when you're wide awake. Because I'll tell you, if you do this when you're tired, you'll get great sleep because you'll drift off into a nice quiet slumber. But find a place to sit when you're wide awake. Sit down and just let your mind go back. Okay, let it drift back on its own accord. Let it go where it will. Okay, when something feels right, and that's the best way I can put it, is that it will feel right. That's when you zero in on that particular dream. I do believe my thermos has a leak. Primarily because, well, I'm certain it does. But don't mind. I'm overheating anyway. And yes, I do have a fan right here. This is why I've got air blowing. Why I've got my hair moving around. But find a comfortable place to sit when you're wide awake. Let your mind drift back. Whatever comes to mind, let it go and follow it down that road. Okay, now the key is this. When you come back out of it, write down whatever you require, whatever you recall. Or better yet, if you've got a recording device, while you're sitting there and the images start to go through your mind, talk about them. Okay, now remember when you're doing this session, remember at the start of it to identify the time and date that you're doing it. This will enable you to keep things organized. Okay, now the kicker comes when once you start piecing these together, and then somebody else looks at you and goes, I remember you from before. I don't know where, but I remember you. That's when you ask them, do you remember anything about us? About the connection between us. Don't tell them anything, just ask if they remember anything about the connection. Okay. I'm just thinking, I looked at that there, Philip. You said Dr. Google can be rather inconsistent, which is true. I'm just hoping he's not rather incontinent at the same time. By sitting down and by writing down what you feel, okay, when somebody else comes out and says, hey, I recognize you, but I do not recall where from, ask them to give you some sort of information on what they remember. Okay. And the reason I say that is they'll say something that may trigger a memory. And if you remember that same thing, you go, I remember that, and here's the other part of it. It's that kind of interaction that's going to remind you and going to put the veracity of that past life in mind. Now, I've got a lot of past lives, that I've documented. The big one that I've told you guys about is the one in Ireland where a young lass was working up north. I was up there for a psychic fair, and she was the one that recognized me. Okay, but we pieced it together. It was a fabulous connection. I never did date her because quite not this lifetime. But keep in mind, she was happily married. So why would I bother dating her? Now, football. I got to ask one small little question for you. Okay, you've asked, is backmasking done for very nefarious reasons? I don't know the term backmasking, which creates a bit of a problem in giving an answer. But if you can explain that in short order, I'll be more than happy to give you an answer to the question. Oh, that's what's called a crock. Pardon my French. You run sounds backwards. Certainly, you're going to pick up something. But is that the way it's done? No, not from anything I've ever looked into. Okay, people will, in the case of playing a record backwards, people will hear what they choose to. Okay, it's the same as when I'm writing. I write mirror image. Okay, and I'm getting back to it. I'm retraining myself how to do that. But if you're listening to something backwards, you're going to hear words that don't make sense or that sound similar to others. Unlike words like mom, dad, mom and dad, and I forget the actual term for them, but they sound the same going forward or backward. Oh, palindrome, there we go. But are they used for nefarious reasons? Not from everything I've seen. Something you have to realize, especially when we're looking at spellcasting. A mispronunciation, I know of one witch in particular, good friend of mine actually, that when she was a practicing witch, and she mispronounced one syllable of one word. Now, this is why you don't backmask. Okay, She mispronounced one syllable of one word, and she completely incinerated her entire apartment. Okay, fortunately, her and her daughter got out safe, but no other apartment actually even had smoke damage. Absolutely, we will deal with that, Derek. Derek's just saying, pray for Nova Scotia. It's hit by hurricane. Well, we're going to have to downgrade that. Have to take a look at that and find it and figure out what's going on, because I don't know about you, but Nova Scotians are nice people. I'm thinking if we can give them a hand, we should. But then I'm a firm believer that we should give everybody a hand if we can. Like I said, this is a situation where working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Jessica asks, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. Ouch, that hurt. One of these days I'm going to stop tapping that glass. But who knows when. But hopefully, Christine, that will help you with the whole idea of the past lives. Now, one thing to keep in mind. It's one thing to remember a past life. Okay. It's another to think that, to automatically start going, oh, I was the Queen of England, or I was the King of Prussia, or the Shah of Iran, or whatever. Okay. In all of recorded history, only one person born could have the past life of that person, of another individual. Okay, now I will tell you this. I'm going to throw a wrench into some of your people's thinking, but I have run into probably half a dozen people claiming to be Yeshua reborn. They claim they were alive 2,000 years ago and they have come back. Okay. And I know of one in particular, he claimed he was Christ reborn. And you were to say, he said, come and join me up in my retreat. Okay, join me up in my home. I've got a wonderful little compound, completely surrounded by barbed wire. We've got armed guards, and bring come up, turn over all your worldly goods because they're all bad. Now you gotta ask, first and foremost, why, if worldly goods are so bad, would Yeshua be asking for them? Would it not make more sense for him to say, hey, give them to the other people, don't hang on to them? Okay. Secondly, why, pray tell, does the Son of God require armed guards? Okay. Or why does he require fencing around his compound? He welcomed everybody. As a matter of fact, he walked straight smack into the middle of the leprosy, of the lepers camps. Yeshua walked right smack into the middle of them. He never turned a soul away. Okay. Because the way he was, he accepted everybody as is. Now, I've met half a dozen people that have claimed, not face to face, albeit, that have claimed they are Yeshua returned. Oh, that's fantastic, Joe. Something you got to remember here. The fact that you're able to call up the Catholic priest to talk to him about a number of things, he is supposed to be the spiritual guide for your community. The fact you can call him up and actually get time to talk to him, this is fantastic. Okay. That's what he's supposed to be there for. But like I said, I talked to this one guy. He had built a compound out in the middle of nowhere, all kinds of guns, all kinds of armament and protection, right? He claimed that he was Yeshua reborn and that you should follow him because Only through him could you get to heaven. Then I talked to another chap that was living in the middle, living in the middle of, he was a full-blown alcoholic, always in the bar. And he said he was, he told me he was Yeshua reborn. And what he was doing was he was in there trying to help the people that were lost. Now, what do we got here? Phil's just bringing up a bit here. Nova Scotia and New Caledonia, both. I mean, New Scotland. Oh, okay. Both mean New Scotland, but New Caledonia is a French territory, north of Australia and New Zealand. Smaller than New Zealand, but still a large island. Now, this is why I rely on you, on people like you there, Philip. I haven't got a clue about geography for the most part. In all fairness, I didn't pay much attention to it in school. I didn't find it that entertaining. And much more importantly, it didn't make sense. I was always told that you can't draw a line in the sand and say you're not allowed to cross that. Okay, so it didn't add up to me to be able to draw a line on a sheet of paper and go, that's another country. Okay. There's a lot of things that, yeah. And I agree with you. Phil's just going, that sounds culty. Very much. And many people that claim that they are somebody of a major event, of a major personality. Only one person, only one was Yeshua way back. Okay, that one person will be identified by other people, not by themselves. Okay, same as you're only going to have one Queen Anne. Only one person reborn now will have been Queen Anne, as in Anne Boleyn, who lost her head. I hope I got my history right. Only one person was that person. And that is the best reason in the world to do it there, Joe. That really is. I'm glad you're finding the strength to reach out and talk to somebody. Okay, nice part with priests is they do have, and hopefully they follow it, but they do have this assurance that whatever they tell you, they're not going to pass on to anybody else. That's the good part of it. That's one of the good parts of it anyway. Now, when I take a look at what's going on here, let's get that out of my way. Where did my pen go? Trying to see what I actually did with my pen, which apparently it went the way of the Yldrbac. Yep, I'm not seeing it. There it is. Because I had some things here. When I told you guys I was stepping away from everything in the office for a couple of days, I literally didn't even come in and turn my computer on here. So I'm behind in a number of things. But the office desk itself is dealt with. What have we got? The thing emptied that. Yep, I did. Okay, so I was supposed to get the business filing drawer cleared. It's cleared. The master bed I actually did get sorted around and then promptly buried it. And I'm working on my inventory shelf. So there's a lot that I'm working on right here. One thing to keep in mind, again, okay, and yes, I call this open topic because I never know where it's all going. Yeah, and I've heard other people say that as well. For me, it never clued in all that well. So of course, during social studies, what did I do? I did all my work. I did pull a stable C plus, which means I was doing 72 to 75% marks on my social studies. But at the same time, I wrote an extra credit report on the construction of Stonehenge and on the life cycle of the Cynognathus, which is a dinosaur. Okay. Then I was still bored, so I taught myself bits and pieces of Hausa, which is Northern Nigerian trade language, and Japanese. Okay, because I didn't have enough to do, so I picked up a few other things. You know, whatever keeps your mind active, this is the thing to work on. Okay, now I'm in the middle of redesigning my right leg because the ankle or the foot on is just painful as all get out. But I think you guys will be happy to know that I think you'll be happy to know that I will be including the extra information we were just talking about in the second printing. As a matter of fact, what is today? I gotta get that done today. Here's the thing: whatever you're doing, and this is why I'm building this publishing company. Of course, wish me luck because I'm running tight on money. I know that. Okay, and if I don't start generating income somehow, I'm going to run into a problem. But I will be talking to people about that and see what I can turn around. Right now, I just don't know. I'm right off the top because I left everything alone for a couple of days. The nice part about it, I can tell you this, Joe, you're going looking for answers. I will tell you whatever answers you find, you'll know when you hear them if they're ringing true. Now, what do I got here? I think those are all empty. Yep. Of course, this is one of those neat little things I look at here. And go, okay. See, all I do is I take it because I pulled all the files out of my filing cabinet in order to get everything set up properly. And now I'll be able to get the stuff out of the way and be able to continue moving forward. One of the things that we have to realize, if you're not content with where your life is, it is absolutely critical that you pick something you're not content with and change the energy around it so it becomes something you are happy about. Okay. Now, let me just hit a little refresh here because I am curious. Are we really just about there? We go refresh. Just refreshing my stream here on my window so I can find out how many I'm looking at. And we are currently looking at 547 people, 547 subscribers. But I also know in many cases that I'm getting, we've got, I run only 2 hours. And it's becoming more and more common before I get done the 2 hour run that I've got almost 24 hours listened. So I know people are tapping in. I also know that I ended up having to drop the ball on trying to get back to the upland, the pre-records. Okay. But of course, I will tell you this, it was weird. I haven't been sick and I had the flu or a cold in 25 years. But you think back, okay, everything was working fine in one sense until I had my stroke. Then all of a sudden, I lost my ability to write properly with my left hand, and my emotional control went out the window. Or more to the point, my emotional buffer. Okay, now that's starting to sort itself out. But I go and get this wonderful little cold, and literally 48 hours later, my brain kicks into gear and I'm able to go back to game mastering. Okay, to running a Dungeons and Dragons game. To me, this is one of those things that you just look at it going, that's fantastic for me, because now I can take my ideas, put them back on the table, and let the characters start developing. Now, like I mentioned a long time ago, when I started writing the Yldrbac Chronicles, a lot of the information is drawn from my gaming experience. This just opens a whole new door for it. Okay, I don't know how things are going to transpire. No, I'm not going to do that. Let's see if I've got anything going on there. Whoop. Oh, okay. Best be getting that done. And let's take a look at that. I'm just taking a quick glance at my email to see if there's anything I've overlooked. And by the look of this, not really. Okay, I need that one. Yeah. Blowing the air right into my eyeballs does not make it easy to function, in case you hadn't noticed. So we take care of all of this stuff I don't require. I got to sort this out as well. That can go. We can delete all of those. See, I get, just like you, I get a staggering amount of basically useless messages coming in through email. I'm sure you do as well. But when you take a look at where your life is, ask yourself one little question. Are you happy with it? Are you content? And if the answer is yes, this is fantastic. The reality of it is I found very few people that are really content with the way their life is running. Okay. Now I was looking at things here. Inventory shelf. Did I actually get that sorted out? Most of it, yes, but not all of it by any functional means. What do we got? That all belongs over there. Those don't get moved. Over there is all inventory. Oh, that's what that is. Because I got all my files here. Got a whole pile of things I got to worry about. Or that I've got to get sorted out is more to the point. And again, we go to this. Now, this particular little file is simply finances and what have you. But he gets put down where it belongs. And that way, again, the more organized you are, the better the energy will flow. And the easier it's going to be for you to actually move forward in life. By the way, what I'm doing is opening my window up. Get him out of the way. That way I can get a little bit of airflow in here. Look, you guys have met him before. I told you I found him. I wasn't going to let him go very far. But hey, what the heck? What's it say here? That's terrible. But no, I was given this one day by my son. So it sits up here where I can see it. This is what's called show and tell at this point. This thing was made by my 2-year-old, my eldest, when he was 2. That means this thing was put together when he was, in grade 2. So we're talking 20 years ago he made this. Okay. It just sits up here to handle my coffee when I've got it. My coffee, I didn't actually make a pot today. I was a little preoccupied with other things. Okay, let us go back here. There, according to some people, some some smoke. I don't notice it myself. Okay, but then my eyesight doesn't work really well. But yeah, some people say there's still a little bit of smoke floating around here. But all in all, things are pretty back to normal. You know, so I mean, like the need. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Nathan's going. I have started going back and forth from coffee and green tea. Yeah, which is not a bad move. One of the things that I found actually helped break this up was all I did was take hot water, like I literally took a cup of water, heated it for a minute, because at 2 minutes you can't drink it for an hour anyway. So I heated it for a minute, added about a teaspoon and a half of unpasteurized honey, and about a eighth of a teaspoon, probably a little less, of ginger, and a little bit of lemon, a little bit of real lemon juice. That concoction broke my chest congestion almost overnight. Okay. But no, I have a tendency, like I'm getting rid of things I don't require and hang on to the ones that I have found a use for. I'm just looking to see if there's anything sitting up here that doesn't belong up there anymore. I'm getting rid of a lot of things. Oh, this neat little item. This is one of those weird things that happens in my world. See, I caught somebody right at the end of my last stream on Wednesday that said they had seen a black shadow go across the room behind me. Now, I just don't notice them most of the time. Yeah, Phil's just saying he adds ice so he can drink it without getting burned. Good thought. Problem is, I don't usually keep ice handy. Now, this neat little figure. Okay, this was a gift to me, and when I first got it, it had the angel wings and everything else. Well, the day that this was given to me by a now ex, but the day she vanished, this thing was catapulted off the shelf. Okay, ended up breaking the wings off it. But I still hang on to this. Okay, yes, it's tied to a memory from a past relationship. Absolutely. You know, does it stop me from moving forward? Clearly not. But it's one of those things that I look at going, it's what I desire to do with it, so it's what's happened. One day I may get around to repairing it. Yeah, the wings did. Well, they got catapulted off a shelf way up near the ceiling and landed on the floor. Needless to say, the wings didn't survive, and the connection on the wings didn't survive. But am I going to get rid of that one anytime soon? Not likely. Okay, but it came off the shelf the day she vanished, and I haven't literally seen her since. Okay, I do know she's alive, but I have not spoken to her since, and frankly, not looking to at this point. Would I still talk to her? Certainly. Would I ever take her back? Not a prayer. Okay, because quite frankly, the one thing that you have to have in a relationship, communication is critical, but trust is imperative. Okay, and when I take a look at the way my life is now, yes, financially I'm stressed to the gills, and I've got to start doing something such as, oh, what a novel thought. How about if we start actually advertising the books? How about if we actually start putting that together? Oh, Philip, in my house, this is just plain normal. Okay. No, when she vanished, she actually phoned me from the cab and asked to verify the time of a meeting, of a meeting we were supposed to be at. So I gave it to her, and then not a word. Never saw hide or hair of her. And that was over a decade ago. So am I looking for her now? No. I will tell you, for 2 years, I couldn't move a muscle, as it were. But for me, this is just a normal thing. Okay. And it's just a question of now I look at it going, and even with my current other half, I told her, yeah, I'm not looking for another one. It's just that simple. I'm just plain not. But am I braced for the idea that she won't make it up here at all? Certainly. But then I live by the concept of you brace for the worst, you plan for the best, but you live for the moment. What do we got here? Nathan is Derek airbag saved his life that day. There we go. Oh. No, in all honesty, it really isn't. Football, the number one question I used to get asked is my other half cheating on me? Okay. No, Derek, I never heard hide or hair about any of it from there. Yeah, well, in case you hadn't noticed, Philip, human behavior can be confusing for just about everybody. But no, most people aren't worried about when they're going to die. Most people fear dying, but they tend to concentrate on literally on fidelity or finances. Now, there are some extreme cases where people focus on something a little different. That depends on which one we're talking about. It's funny there, Philip. I had one last. She phones me up, and she goes, I'm sure my husband's cheating on me. I says, so I looked at it and I went, nope, not a prayer. That guy wouldn't cheat on you, even if he was paid to. You've got nothing to functionally worry about there. She goes, no, I know he's cheating on me. And she kept going around in this circle. I said, look, I don't doubt what you know. I'm just telling you you're mistaken. Because I said, you give him 20, if you're sitting at the dinner table and he gets a phone call and he says, I got to go to work. Give him 20 minutes and call him at work. You'll find him there. Right? And she goes, how did you know he's only 20 minutes away from work? He says, did you think to actually check the number before you phoned me? Right. And then she goes, I said, ignore that. No, I said, don't answer that. But if you get a call from him, he tells you he's working late, that, that he's working late and to just carry on with dinner. Okay. And I says, just drop by the office. You'll find him there with his secretary. I knew he was cheating on me. I knew he was. Like, blankety blink, blink, blank. I says, no, he'll be at his desk. She'll be at hers. However, you may want to check with your boyfriend. So I mean, you get all kinds. So I mean, in his case, in that case, that was one that went a little sideways from my end. Then I had the other client where the guy, I kid you not, he was literally so big. How big was he? Well, he was so big he had to buy two. He literally, her boyfriend was cheating. But this one guy, he literally had, if he wanted to fly to take an airplane somewhere, he had to literally buy two seats because he couldn't physically fit in one. Okay, now from what I recall, he did have a medical complication that caused that. But his girlfriend, well, quite frankly, his fiance, was a tiny little thing, right? So I described her how she looked, and she was a fantastic little munchkin. There was nothing to her, right? But I identified who she was, what she looked like, her walk, the whole 9 yards. And he says, "Well, I'm sure she's cheating on me because every time I turn around, every time I look, somebody's approaching her and asking her, and I can't hear what they're saying, but I always, you can always see them asking." And I looked at him and I said, "Look," I said, "I understand your fear. I really do. But the situation you're dealing with is you actually don't have anything to worry about, because what you're not aware of is, yes, every guy is approaching her. Absolutely. And realistically, when you take a look at her appearance, can you blame her? Or can you blame them? But what you don't hear is the fact that that sweet little demure young lass that you're in love with, that you're engaged to be married to, has a mouth like a sailor, right? That's actually, for me, football, that's actually a normal thing. You know, where a pet psychic said that a cat told the mom that they had a boyfriend. This is normal. Animals see way more than you might think. And once you can connect with them, once you can communicate with them, it's fantastic. It can be hilarious on occasion, but it is a fantastic experience. You know, but there's all kinds of things that happen in this world that many people don't understand. You know, for me, it really boils down to having put things off way too long. Okay, so now what I'm doing is going through things to eliminate the odds and ends. To eliminate the ones that don't add up. But I'm just doing it one step at a time. Yeah, I'm standing over here. One thing I did find is if I sit still too long, I run into all kinds of hiccups. Yeah, what is this? Oh, okay. Got all kinds of information here that I don't require anymore. And by the way, guys, just in case you forgot, Jenny, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I can we think before we speak? What do you figure? I really do hope your day has gone reasonably well. Actually, I hope it's gone great, but usually that doesn't work for me. What is this? Oh, well, this is another one of those really neat things. I wonder what year this was. I'm gonna have to check because it doesn't actually have a year on it. But now I'm gonna have to check because again, this was a placemat that my child, that my youngest made for me. I just don't know what year. This was actually for Father's Day one day. Yes, like I said, for me, family is everything. And this is why I say, well, not everything, but it is a critical priority. And this is why I say, if you've got kids, keep them in the loop. Let them know where your finances are. Let them know where your health is standing. My youngest gets mad because I won't go to the doctor. He understands why I won't go to the doctor. He's just not happy about it. I don't know where that was going to go. Not there, that's for certain. That's actually mine, so it actually can't go there. So that's going to cause a problem pretty quick. Yeah, I'm going through old files here while I'm talking because, well, kind of had to. Yeah, Joe's just going, my cat and my female cat, Gracie. She senses everything, even if something is off balance. She'll know it quicker than me. This is one of the reasons why in ancient Egypt, cats were revered. They were very quick to pick up on psychic changes, on emotional changes, very in tune. Now, this little book, this is, of course, one of the first books, one of the first printings of Mr. Dreamcatcher. This was written literally for my eldest son. Now, where is that? It's this one here that we pull in. Hey, what's that? I don't know. Yeah, as you can see, some days things get a little screwy. Well, if we knew any actual shamans, that would be he might. But in all fairness, the problem is he knows the speed that my healing rate works, and it's a question. It's a case of he's not happy with the fact that I don't go. I do keep him informed, and in all fairness, aside from the stroke back in, had the stroke in 2018, I've only had one major heart attack since. And I didn't even go to the hospital for that one. I don't know if that came across right. Well, it was only one major heart attack. The fact of the matter is, I'm not dying anytime soon. I just can't afford to. There's too many other things to do. I have no idea what the heck this is. Well, actually, I know what it says. Wonder if that actually has any value to it. That's a fine little key card for my Canadian Tire card, but I've always got my Canadian Tire card on me. I'm looking at this thing. That's a magnifier. But, the funny part about this is my eyes are improving, making this less and less viable. Although it would be really trippy putting that in front of my eyes and using it to drive. That can make it really buggy. But this is just what I do. Like I said, this is one of the reasons why I call this open topic. Because if you've got a question, absolutely come right out and ask. And we never thought to ask, Nathan, where are we? Right now we're on Sunday. So I'm going to have to make a point, and I better clear my deck off so I can make said point. Okay, that's E. What are these? These are dead file folders I don't require. Since I don't require them, they can go in the recycling bin. One thing you have to remember, The more energy you can get freed up to make move in the right direction, the better off you're going to be. I'm just going to stick to Earth. Okay. I'm just going to stay now. This is not how many I've tracked. This is how man. This is an answer to your question there, Jenny. Jenny is just and Jenny White Bear is asking, how many lifetimes do you think you have lived? Now I'm only going to stick to Earth. Okay. Yeah. No. Well, I'm not dying permanently anyway. But thank you so much for that, Philip. If we go 5,000 million billion divide by, well, obviously that's an average run equals, and we divide that by 2 for the ones I jumped around between. Probably in excess of 25 million lifetimes. Okay. This is given an average 100 years between lifetimes. Okay. And most of the time, my lifetimes don't take that long between. But given 100 years between lifetimes, nope, wait a minute, let me just double check that. Start off with 5,000 million billion. Divide that. Average lifespan would be, well, my average probably 75. Okay. So if we look at saying, well, let's take it at 100 years, but we'll double that for a 100-year delay between. So we divide that by 200. Whoop. Yeah, probably close to 25 million. Maybe they'll release something interesting about JFK in 2063. So live this lifetime at least until 2065. That would be neat because I was born May 13th of 63. JFK was killed in November of 63. I think November 6th, but I might be mistaken there. So now that I've got my curiosity going, let's see what happens if we do this. Go up here, we go. Now, we go, when did JFK die? November 22nd. Okay. Was when he passed away. So yeah, it could be an entertaining run. Chad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now let's see. Drop that down and let us take a look at, and this is the link to Chad's archives. Hopefully your day's been going well, Chad. And here we are. Paste that in there. This is the link to Chad's archives. Drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to his channel. Quite frankly, on the off chance that he does decide he's going to start reposting. Maybe if we badger him long enough, he will. I'd say I was kidding there, Chad, but I was actually dead serious. Scratch the dead. Yeah, there's air and there's clouds above you and everything. I always find the weather great as long as we have weather. Day you don't have weather, you could have a miserable time. About 8 minutes of miserable time, but miserable nonetheless. Now, these are simply envelopes. I got a whole pile of odds and ends of envelopes, but There we go. Bunch of envelopes I have to sort around. I've got to keep them handy so I know what I'm doing with them. Whoop, that is... Oh, would you look at that? Envelope can go there. Okay, I will have to put that in once I get to it. Oh, that's what we're doing wrong here. Of course we do something silly like that. And we put D in there. And then we grab this one here, which is my E file. And of course, needless to say, the envelopes go in behind E. Gotta sort of stay on top of things, don't we? Yeah, no, I actually tried death. I actually listened to death metal once. And we did determine, because I was at an outdoor event. I was working the outdoor event, and they had a death metal band on stage. Well, I went to walk across in front of the stage. They fired up the notes, and my heart stopped like that. Well, my heart stopped, and I hit the ground. Right. Well, the DJ was quick, and he shut the whole band down right then. Right. And he just shut the band down. He says, "No, we're not having that." Thankfully, my heart re-kicked itself, which is a weird thing about my heart. It stops. But what happens is my stress level goes too high. The capillaries expand too far, and they squeeze off the nerves, and the heart stops. Of course, when the heart stops, your blood pressure drops. As soon as it drops below a certain level, then the pressure from the nerves, from the capillaries around the nerves collapses, and my heart kicks back in. Yeah, I do not recommend trying this one at home. It's just one of those things. It's a wonderful showstopper, but it does cause a lot of consternation. Now, am I going to give up on things anytime soon? No, not planning on it. Got too many people left to annoy. But no, a lot of what I'm doing now is literally just reorganizing things to ensure I get back on the right track for me. Whoop. Oh, okay, that's good. Envelopes and state. There's a couple of people I found that I do have to get in touch with. Now, again, guys, if you've got a question, even if it's not on what I'm talking about right now, okay, because quite often Sunday works this way. I'll get off doing I'll go, no, I won't do that. I will carry on doing my own thing, because this is literally how I'm turning my life from where it was to where I desire it to be. Okay, I think I did that. Don't need that one down there, but I do need something there. Those are there, so I don't have a problem. One thing that I will tell you, okay, like, I really do appreciate you guys sharing your time with me. Chad Smith, that is an excellent question. Chad is asking, what really is music and why does it resonate with us so well? Music is the song, is literally the song that is sung between the cells of creation. In the subquantum realm, music or sound is the way of communication. Okay, when you talk to somebody, it's literally the sound of your voice interacting that paints the picture. People don't think in terms of a picture, okay, or in terms of words. Let me ask you this. When somebody says hammer, what do you visualize? And before I tell you what the options are, I'm curious what some of you visualize when I just simply say hammer. What image comes to mind? Okay. Now, Philip, you've asked if I've been studying anything interested for writing. Yes. This is one of the things that got me going back, that got me looking to go back and game mastering again. Exactly. You're absolutely right there, Chad. Football goes MC Hammer. Yeah, you see, now this is a thing. Okay. People visualize things, but you'll notice, you'll notice that nobody said that they visualize this. The word. Well, that won't work. Nobody said that they visualize this word. It's not the word, it's a picture. Okay, now in answer to your question there, Philip, couple of things. And if anybody knows somebody I can talk to, this would be great. One, I'm going back to running a game because that opens all kinds of doors. Okay, and enables me to get a lot more thoughts out more effectively. But I am actually looking to find somebody that is that is functionally literate or functionally schooled in what are called walk-ins. Okay, I have a complicated situation I've come across, and I don't have enough information myself. But I'm looking into that. I'm also looking into merchandising and what have you, what it's going to cost me to do so. I figure the government dropped the ball on me completely. So I'm on my own on this one. Correction. I'm on my own with the help of friends. But the government clearly is not going to be of much use. Okay. I was supposed to hear back from a couple of them. I didn't hear back from anybody. So I'm done with it. I just have to find a way to make sure that I've got, and I think I've got enough money sitting in the bank right now to be able to pull off another couple of months. Now, fortunately, on the good news side, my brother turned around, and my brother was the one brother that actually sold my mom's house after she passed. He doesn't have a real estate license, and yet he sold the house in 3 months. If that happens again, my problems are set. The government, unfortunately for me, I explained it earlier in the night. Right now, I'm running on very tight wire. But is this going to stop me from moving forward? Not at all. I'm just not interested in giving up. The way I figure it, it simply put things into perspective and went, okay, you're doing it on your own. It's like I wrote them. I said, look, I find it fascinating that given that I told you when I got there, I told you I required computer assistance in the operation of it. I've got tech support from 2 different countries if I have a problem. But the running the mill of it, I require assistance with. I require the knowledge. And I said, I've got I've got a neat little situation where one of my support letters from the printer I personally use has a lineup of people waiting for me to open the door. Okay. And you're telling me not only is it not a viable business, but I don't have enough computer experience to deal with, to do it. This is what I find extremely fascinating. Now, I'm just looking at this here, Philip. Philip's going, Walter Bosley has talked a bit about walk ins. He had a relatively similar experience in his youth. Do you have any idea how to get a hold of him there, Philip? It's not a critical issue, but it is one that does does bring a few things to question and to delight that are definitely open to debate at this point. So yeah, I will be doing what I can. And if I calculate it right, I should be fine. But talk about cutting things tight. Oh, okay. I do appreciate that. I will have to look him up. I'm just writing him down here. What do we got? Walter Bosley. Okay. I have written him down so I can take a look at him. And I will see what I can do about making headway on that one. Like I said, it's not critical. It's just something that came to light that I kind of require the insight on. At least to satisfy my own curiosity. Oh, that's a bonus. I will certainly have to talk to Dave about that because I would, honestly, I would rather make direct contact with somebody than work with email. Too much gets confused on email. But where are we here? And that would be another one to turn around and talk to. Any idea how to find her there, Jenny? Jenny Whitebear is just saying Dolores Cannon also talked about them. Needless to say, when I'm looking into researching anything, to be frank, it's because it's got something to do with either myself or somebody that I know personally that's going through a mess. Now, I've got some experience with it, but not as much as you might think. Near death or your near death experiences, to me, that's just a run of the mill routine. Oh, look, we're alive, now we're dead, now we're alive. This is just a standard routine. It's a bit of an annoyance on occasion. And I will tell you, I would rather have 10 more heart attacks than another stroke. But at least I'm starting to make headway on the healing side of it. Just want to double check. Okay, that can't stay there. That all belongs there. Pretty much got inventory where it needs to be, my inventory shelf, which was kind of a necessity, but now I've lost the inventory count, I think. This is what I'm starting to look into. I was going to do that last week and then decided that a real nasty cold was a good idea. But yeah, Chad, I am actually starting to look for live podcasts to actually take a look at that. I just haven't had much success in finding them. Of course, my ability to track people down is not renowned as overly well developed. Well, I appreciate that, Jenny. And yeah, clearly, well, in all fairness, my talking to her if she's passed actually isn't that hard to imagine either. Well, as long as Chad, as long as I can do one that does that for free, we're good. But right now, spending money to try and find people is one of those things that got me into this problem. I spent thousands on company. What do we got here? Oh, well, that saves a whole lot of hassles. I will certainly look into it there, Chad. Wonder if this works. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, bonus. I will fill that out after I get done the stream today. I just hit the control link. Like I said, I got some knowledge on computers. Okay. But it's very minimal. But I will absolutely take a look at that. Derek goes, Nothing in Common, 1986 comedy movie with Tom Hanks is good. Oh. Yeah, I figure, yeah, I hope so. If not, I've got enough people around me that can help me there. Have a good one there, Derek, and thanks so much again for joining us. I really do appreciate it. And where are we here? Oh, are we really that late? We really are that late. Okay. You have a good one there, Derek. And guys, we are hitting the 2-hour mark. With that in mind, thank you so very much for sharing your time with me today. Tomorrow we are looking at Monday. Just got to find Monday. Okay. Monday, the 18th, tomorrow. We are going to be looking at literally, we're going to tangle with the topic of the logic behind an alien invasion. Okay. That's just the way we're going to go there. Thank you so much, Christine. I appreciate you sharing your time with us. I will be back again tomorrow, and I will have the rest of it worked out. Kind of got sidetracked on that. But that said, guys, thanks so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. And your encouragement has been absolutely phenomenal. Have a good night, all.